fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
Alright guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. In this video we will go through our picks for Sandhagen versus Son, but first we're going to recap UFC 279. So what's up, dude?
Let's get this thing started.
Yeah, if you guys want to skip ahead to the picks, just go down in the comments section and look at the time markers. Yeah, so it ended up being a great card, although we kind of left you guys on YouTube stranded here. I mean, we didn't want to put out another video in the last day. So I just ended up posting the picks to Instagram. You guys know where to fucking find them. So, in result, we made 3.35 units from the bets. Made some live bets this week, but yeah, let's just get into the straight bets here. Chad did not get the jab done versus Alatang. That was a very low output fight from both fighters. Alatang made it really clear that he was just in a counter-strike, and Chad had trouble going first, and he just got clipped a lot of times when he came in. Next one, I had Ferguson in the main event, and it was a terrible bet. He clearly was not the same fighter. He's never the same fighter from what he was anymore, or was before. He just didn't really look like he wanted to box at all with Nate, and really struggled. And it's really good he didn't face the Leech, because he would have gotten slept, I think, real bad. I didn't end up doing the week's live bet. I wanted Johan to win round one really dominantly, and that line wasn't quite there for it. And it ended up being good because he lost by split decision. Also didn't bet Arosa because he won round one, so the odds instantly flipped, so I lost all value chances on that. I ended up live betting Chad in the middle of round two, I believe. I thought he would be able to turn it around, and I thought he had a chance at winning round two, but he didn't, and a little bit of bias went into that one. And then I polished that off with Aldana later in the event, going into round three. She was at plus odds, and I think she's just so much better of a fighter than Macy. Macy was just bigger than her, and I got a little bit lucky because she was on her back, and most girls lose fights. They can't get up off their back, but she got that liver shot and got us that dub. And then you had your parlay.
Yeah. Jilton, Almeida, and Hamzat. I mean, I think most people had those guys winning, and they both made it look easy with both getting a first-round sub.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Almeida, well, they're both dominant wrestlers. It makes sense why they're giant favorites, and it came out to be an easy win. I think both of them had like 0 strikes absorbed as well.
Yeah.
And then going down into prop bets, I played a Hamzat by sub because Holland's never been knocked out before, and Hamzat's just ground ability is so much greater, and his strength. I mean, he had multiple times where he had him in the Anaconda or Darce, and then just flipped Holland over so easily, and that was a really nice payout for that one. And then I also played the Leech by finish only, so this bet voided due to the fight going to decision. I still think this was a really good bet. I didn't think D-Rod ever was close to coming to finishing him, and a lot of people got screwed on this fight because the Leech should have won it, but D-Rod got the decision. And then I played Aldana by KO because she's been finished in her last opponents. Her boxing was so much better than Macy's. And again, got a little lucky with how late that one came through. And then to polish off the card, this under rounds bet was really nice. I had under 1.5 in the Almeida fight. Knew that he was going to take him down. It was just a matter of time. And he just got the choke in. And then Johnny Walker and Kutalaba, we knew they were going to go at each other. And that one was also just easy money. So, nice return, 3.35. That's a winning streak of 2. That's 10 plus units in 2 weeks. So let's just keep the win streak going.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for the first fight of the night, we have Nikolas Motta versus Cameron VanCamp. I'm going to take the dog in this fight. Cameron VanCamp came in short notice against Andre Fiallo, and I thought he actually put on a decent performance. I mean, I don't know what you thought exactly of that fight.
Yeah, he got knocked out, but he did drop Fiallo, and everyone expected Fiallo just to run through him, as Fiallo was like a minus 700 favorite. But yeah, I'm coming in on short notice.
Yeah, he actually caught Fiallo and had him on wobbly legs for a second, and then I think he just got too comfortable with the striking and then got dropped. But Fiallo's got good boxing. That's not that surprising. But I like Cameron VanCamp's strength in jiu-jitsu and also the chance on the feet here. Motta's been finished a lot of times in his career. He's been submitted. He's been knocked out. He got knocked out most recently by Jim Miller, but that was a while ago. Cameron VanCamp's got good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling really isn't the best, but I think that his striking improvement with a full camp here will be a whole lot better. And I am looking into the finish category for VanCamp here. I'm thinking a submission. I'm going to say round 2. Motta, I think, just needs to clean it up a little bit. The one thing that scares me for VanCamp is the speed of striking. I think Motta's going to have the speed advantage here. But VanCamp's a tested fighter. He's got a lot of fights here. He's got a big height advantage, a little bit of a reach advantage, and he's going to be coming down from a bigger weight class with a little more strength. So I think that he's going to be the better fighter here and find the submission in round 2. Okay, for the next fight of the night, we have Tony Gravely versus Javid Basharat. And in this fight, I'm going to go with Basharat. I really think this dude is a great prospect. I see him as a top 10 in the bantamweight division in the future. Tony Gravely, go back and watch this dude's fights. I mean, he had a really nice knockout versus Johnny Munoz Jr. Just recently. It was a short punch that just slept him. If you're going to look at the Simon Oliveira fight, that fight has red flags all over it, in my opinion. Simon Oliveira gave up takedowns just pulling guillotines, which makes Gravely really not have to work for takedowns. And that ended up helping him preserve his gas tank throughout the fight. And Oliveira was piecing him up on the feet, too, and just had to defend a couple takedowns, keep range, and he kept on just pulling guillotines, and he lost that fight. Nate Maness, that loss was kind of shaky. Tony Gravely dropped him and then proceeded to get dropped in the following round. But he also just doesn't have the biggest strength of schedule and opponents. If you look at Basharat's whole game, his all-round game, it's real fucking good. His ground game, real smart with positioning. And I think if he finds himself on bottom, Gravely's really going to have to work for holding positions, which is going to get him tired. I also think Basharat can defend takedowns, which will make Gravely more tired as the fight goes on. And Basharat's got really good in and out of range striking. He can get caught sometimes, but I think as he gets more experience, he does a really good job of dipping into range, touching his opponent, getting out. And Gravely striking defense is really not good. I'm thinking knockout, and I'm thinking knockout. It's going to be, I think it's going to be round 2. I think Gravely's going to get a little tired from trying to implement grappling. But Basharat, man, this guy, great gas tank. Haven't seen him get tired. He put on a striking clinic versus Trevin Jones. I really like what this dude offers. And I put a 2-unit bet behind him. I really trust that he's going to be the better fighter here. Gravely, I think he just needs more experience against better opponents, and I think Basharat is that better opponent here, so this is the test. So Basharat, KO, round 2. Okay, and for the next fight of the night, we have Mariya Agapova versus Gillian Robertson. Mariya Agapova, I cannot get a fight right with this chick. She's so unreliable. And I was leaning her way, so in result, I'll let you say who wins this fight.
Yep, the red-haired chick, Gillian Robertson, will win this fight. She should be able to get this fight down on the ground and either win a decision here or find a submission.
Yeah, I think I can't get a fight right on Agapova. Her fight IQ seems to be pretty low, and her gas tank when grappling is implemented is really bad. I mean, Gillian Robertson's not that great. I think her jiu-jitsu is good. I don't know if her takedowns will add up to the same. She's coming in with less of a reach here. Agapova's always got that striking ability, even though when she gets put on her back foot, she can struggle with it. Do you think a submission is going to happen in this fight?
Yeah, I think a submission, probably.
And say
Agapova seems to lose. She's lost by submission. Her fights don't go the distance very often.
Yeah, when she loses, man, she gets tired. I've gotten I've gotten it wrong on her twice or 3 times actually. I picked her when she was the big favorite for Shawna Dobson. Yeah, I'm not looking at anything for this fight. I wouldn't bet anything on it. We'll do Gillian Robertson submission round 2, assuming Agapova gets a little tired. Robertson can implement some grappling and probably get in a rear-naked choke. Okay, and for the next fight of the night, we have Trey Ogden versus Daniel Zellhuber. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I like Zellhuber here. He's the younger fighter, and I like him getting a knockout here.
Yeah, Zellhuber, this is one of the up-and-coming prospects. I mean, this dude is super young. Put in a really good Contender Series fight versus a super dangerous fighter in Lucas Almeida. If you remember, Lucas Almeida was the guy who knocked out Mike Trezano this summer.
Yeah, going into that Contender Series fight, both those guys were undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, he took some big shots in that fight too. So he's got that Mexican chin. A lot of like Brandon Moreno and a lot of those guys. Really tough. But I will say I've seen that he relies on his height sometimes to account for certain aspects of like grappling that he may get into, but like I think he gets away with things just because he's a little bit taller. But he also uses his height well in advantages such as using knees in the clinch. This dude just pounds them on people. I think he has multiple finishes from knees in the clinch, and I really like how he puts the pace on some fighters. Trey Ogden just came off of a loss against Jordan Levitt, which I actually thought that thought Trey Ogden won that fight. I thought Levitt didn't really do much. This is his second fight in the UFC. I'd say the biggest scare would be Zellhuber getting stuck on bottom, but again, a younger fighter. He's had a year to prepare for his UFC debut. He's going to have a big reach advantage, and he shows a lot of strength when he's on the ground. And I really like that for his ability to possibly get up here, take a shot. I don't see Ogden finishing him here, and I really like as well Daniel by knockout. And I'm going to say round 1. I think he's going to come in with a little bit of patience, get those knees going in the clinch, soften him up, and just find the final blow somewhere. So
yeah, Ogden's never been knocked out before. He's been choked out 3 or 4 times, and his other losses were decision.
Yeah, I mean, it also could be a club and sub with the length of Zellhuber. Again, those knees like to put people on their back, but I'm thinking knockout. I like that.
Yeah, same.
It's also Ogden hasn't been in the UFC. UFC, a lot of people get knocked out for the first time. So
right.
Zellhuber, KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Loma Lookboonmee versus Denise, Gomes. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Lookboonmee. I like her style, her Muay Thai style. I'm pretty sure she's the only fighter from Thailand on the roster in the UFC, and I think her style will be tough for Gomes.
I like Lookboonmee's knees in the clinch. I think that's like a big part of her game. She really is a clinch fighter. She likes to get people from the fence. But also Denise Gomes really likes to use her clinch game as well. She's a very strong Brazilian girl. Also just a little bit young coming into this fight. I know Lookboonmee doesn't also have the most MMA experience, but that striking base should be the focus in this fight. And I do think she will dominate the clinch if it ever comes to it. The scare in this fight is Gomes comes on really hard. I probably shouldn't have said it that way. That sounds a little gross. She comes back and fights really well in round 3. She's very good at pacing round 1, letting her opponent feel comfortable, and then in round 3 really starting to pick them apart. I don't think Loma's going to slow down as much here, though. And Gomes should have more trouble getting any control of this fight in the later rounds. I do think that Loma's going to take at least 2 of those. But, I mean, you could have your eyes on the upset here or a 3rd round KO for Gomes. I think that both of those are decent plays. But yeah, we're going to stick with the favorite here, Loma Lookboonmee, by decision. Okay, and for the next fight, we have Aspen Ladd versus Sara McMann. I am not very fond of Aspen Ladd and her fighting abilities. I don't think that she's that great. She came in against...
She's good at punching air.
She is good at punching air. She's a lot of that versus Raquel Pennington. She came in versus Germaine Durandamy on a 8-fight winning streak. She thought she was a really great fighter. Got dropped instantly in that fight. Clearly was never going to have a chance to win that fight. And then disputed the loss because she was a woman. Kind of a weird reasoning. Went on to get another win. And I picked her against her in these last 2 fights, Norma Dumont and Raquel Pennington. She doesn't have good striking, and I think she thought she had good wrestling against bad girls with no wrestling. And here she comes in against Sara McMann, who's a wrestler, and she also got put on her back, I think, a couple times versus Raquel Pennington and Norma Dumont. So I think McMann might wrestle her to the ground here, and if not, I don't like Ladd striking enough to pick against McMann. McMann can do what she has to do on the feet. The only scare is her getting a little tired from grappling. She hasn't seemed to slow down she hasn't seemed to slow down with her age. Like I said, a lot of these women's fighters, they don't slow down as much as men's fighters do with age. And I just think McMann by decision here. I haven't seen anything about Ladd's game that just says that she's ever going to be like a future champion or anything like that. So I'll take McMann by decision. I think she's going to get Ladd on her back a couple times and take at least two of the rounds. I'll say 30-27 for a final scorecard. Okay, for the next fight, we have Trevin Giles versus Louis Cosce. His brother, Cosce's brother, just fought not too long ago this summer against Blood Diamond. His brother didn't look all too great in that fight. He also missed weight. Louis here on a 2-year break where he had a fight of the night performance, although he lost against Sasha Palatnikov, which that guy's now no longer in the UFC. Not a great look for coming against Trevin Giles, who's faced some pretty fucking good opponents here. Trevin Giles looked, I think really good at 170. He actually was beating Morales pretty well in round 1 up until the KO. It's also not the best way to phrase fights because Morales is a slow starter, but I did like how he looked. I think also his weight drop from 185 to 170 looked really good. He kind of had a little bit more baby fat on him at 185, and at 170 he was really trim. Cosce's style is just to run in, get exhausted in the grappling, and throw as many ground and pound strikes as he can until he tires out. Giles here has a little bit of a wrestling base to lean back on to defend those takedowns, and his stand-up is just very smooth. He's in and out of range with left and right hands, does his light leg kicks to get into range. I like his game all around better, and I'm thinking Giles is going to score a KO in round 3. I think Cosce's going to be maybe win round 1, but he's going to be dead tired. If him and his brother continue to do their insane pace fights, and then round 2 might be a 10-8 for Giles, or even a finish, and then I'm going to say KO round 3. Anything else for anything you got on this one?
No, just Cosce, 2-year layoff. Yeah, I like a late round finish for Giles. I think Cosce will tire out here.
I also think that Giles getting knocked out in his last 2 fights doesn't scare me as much because he's facing somebody who isn't much of a stand-up, clean puncher, and he just faced 2 pretty good stand-up fighters in Morales.
Yeah, those guys have a lot of power.
Yeah. So, Trevin Giles, KO round 3. Okay, for the next fight, we have Damon Jackson versus Pat Sabatini. Who do you like in this matchup?
I like Pat Sabatini a lot here. I think he'll have the better gas tank and should be the better grappler. And if it stays on the feet, which I don't think it will, he should be the better striker there too.
Yeah, I think he checks all 3 categories as well. Damon Jackson fought Dan Argueta again this summer. He had him in a body triangle for 2 rounds and did some damage on the back, but other than that, he just got his legs exhausted, and he was exhausted. He had a real rough time. I also think Pat Sabatini's part of some crazy camp, right? He has some crazy jiu-jitsu credible thing. I can't remember exactly what it is. If he trains with the Gracie guys or something like that. Damon Jackson has good jiu-jitsu. The only thing that scares me for Sabatini is the length of Jackson if it comes to the ground. Could be a little bit harder to deal with. But Sabatini also dealt with a bigger opponent in, what's his name? He's on here somewhere. Tristan Conley. Tristan Conley's not amazing, but he was way bigger than Sabatini in that fight. I think Sabatini, well, yeah, control all 3 rounds. I actually don't see a finish. I see a decision here.
Yeah, I think it goes all 3.
Yeah, Pat Sabatini, decision. I mostly hope he just controls stand-up because I think that's where he's going to be best. But if Damon Jackson engages in the grappling, I think that he'll get tired first. So, yeah, Pat Sabatini, decision. Okay, and for the next fight, we have Anthony Hernandez versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Who do you like for this fight?
Yes, I'm going with Anthony Hernandez here. He has really good gas tank and will be looking for the takedown the entire time.
Yeah, Anthony Hernandez reminds me of just Colby Covington and his style. Other than the submissions, but his grappling is just non-stop pace. This dude's got a gas tank that's just insane. A worry about his game is sometimes just his toughness with shots to the body. Kevin Holland put him down. That's also nothing to be really too ashamed of. Kevin Holland kneed him in the body. He went down, got finished. Marc-Andre got knocked out, but Chidi and Jokawani followed that up by submitting Jordan Wright. But his style is really just to put a pace on somebody as well, but it's not as clean. He lost to Krzysztof Jotko in mostly a striking and clinch match, and he didn't really look good at all, in my opinion, in that fight. I think he got robbed still in that one on his record. Anthony Hernandez, though, if this fight goes to the clinch, I think that Hernandez will get him down and just continue to put a pace on him. Barriault's cardio seems to hold up okay, but I think Hernandez is just going to be better. Hernandez also loves arm-in guillotines and anaconda chokes. He's just fucking nasty with them. He got Rodolfo Rivera, I think, with the Armin guillotine. On Josh Fremd, he pulled about 10 submissions in that fight and still didn't submit him, but Fremd showed great defensive jiu-jitsu in certain moments. I'm thinking Hernandez gets a submission here. Do you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, just with the pace that he puts on, and the amount of times he attempts submissions, I'm gonna go with a round 1 submission. I think when he's maybe a little bit dry,
Under dry.
Yeah, I think he's gonna lock something in. Marc-Andre Barriault is still a good fighter. I just think that this pace that Fluffy puts on will show itself. So Hernandez submission round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Tanner Boser versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Who do you like for this fight, Guy?
Yeah, I like the bulldozer, Tanner Boser here. I think he's got the better stand-up, and I think he'll find a knockout here.
He has a good style for heavyweight. I think just with dudes have a hard time dealing with speed. He's got a speed advantage over most people he fights. He's in and out of range, real fast. His biggest weakness may be a little bit of the grappling with a heavier opponent, which he is kind of facing here, so that's kind of the scare. But his hand should be a lot cleaner, and he should be able to find a finish here. If you're looking at his last couple fights, he actually won by cheating in the OSP fight. He grabbed the fence to reverse position, got up, and finished OSP. Very controversial fight. He has some losses to Latifi and Arlovsky, but a lot of people lose to Arlovsky by decision. I think he had like a weird eye poke KO, which actually might have been this first Herb Dean stop the fight incident with Dan Hardy. If we're looking at Rodrigo Nascimento, I don't remember how this fight played out, but Alan Badeau ended up in a draw or no contest due to something. Got knocked out by Chris Dawkins and submitted Don'Tale Mayes, which we all know Don'Tale Mayes isn't good. My tips from this fight would be stay away from it completely from a betting perspective. You know, if you just watch the Jake Collier or Chris Barnett fight, you know why you should stay away from these types of fights. They're low level and they're unpredictable. But with that being said, still, we're thinking the same thing. We're on the same page. We're thinking Boser KO, and I'm going to say after a year off with a little bit more activity in his career in the last couple of years, say Tanner Boser knocks him out in round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Alan Amowski versus Joseph Pfeiffer. And you know what they say? You know what Dana says? Be Joe Pfeiffer. Be Joe Pfeiffer. End the night with a bang. And we know what's gonna happen. This fight is set up for Joe Pfeiffer to knock out his first opponent. Alan Amowski is not a good fighter. He got clubbed and subbed by Joseph Holmes with step-in knees. He's also a little bit undersized for this division. Look at the height here. We're looking at 6'2 versus 5'10. And Pfeiffer is a big 185 dude. Really big dude. We're also looking at an 8-year age gap, which in the UFC, statistically, they show like 66% of the time or whatever. He got knocked out by John Phillips, who sucks. And got beat by Jocko, who is bad with striking but has decent grappling. And his last win, can you say when his last win was there, Guy?
Yeah, 2018, December of 2018.
That's a big time before the last win. This dude should not be in the UFC.
Which was in Bellator, so he doesn't even have a win in the UFC.
Right. This fight is almost extremely similar to the Jason Witt. Jason Witt and whatever his name was, Josh Quinlan, yeah, that knocked him out. This is set up the same way. It's just a power puncher versus a guy with no chin. The story's right there. The prop knockout is right there. Yeah, I'm going to say standing knockout. Maybe the same punch, the left hook. So, Joe Pfeiffer, KO, round 1. Okay, and for the next fight, we have Andre Touchy-Feely versus Bill Algeo. One coming off a loss, one coming off a win. Actually, the person that Andre Feely lost to was Joe Anderson Brito, who Bill Algeo actually beat. But in my opinion, I think that Feely kind of just got caught in that fight. Brito came forward real fast, threw some big punches, and just caught Feely with his chin up and yet put down. I really liked him as a fighter, and I think his striking is going to be better than Bill's here. The ground game could be a little bit more equal, but I think Feely's in general a bigger fighter here. So I'm going to go with Andre Touchy-Feely here. A little bit of bias because I really like the dude as a fighter. Bill Algeo just came off a good performance against Herbert Burns, where Herbert Burns
almost got submitted.
I guess, what was the submission that it was a triangle. It was he got put in a lead triangle. He defended it. He's got actually good jiu-jitsu. Herbert Burns was really good at jiu-jitsu, but is a horrible MMA fighter. Gets tired real fast. Has knockout power for round 1, and submissions for round 1. That's about it. The tag for this is hilarious. Herbert Burns KO exhaustion from damage. Might be one of the first ones they've typed that way. And he just gave up in that fight. A win over Brito. Loss against Ricardo Ramos. Winning against Spike Carlisle, who's a high-paced fighter. And lost against Ricardo Lamas. Touchy-Feely got a weird record here, but he actually beat Daniel Pineda in that fight before the eye poke. He was fucking him up pretty bad. I just like his game better here, and I'm looking at 29-28 decision, I think, here for Andre Feely. You like that?
I think it goes the distance.
Yeah, on also in his Bryce Mitchell fight, if you want to compare that fight, just even Edson Barbosa versus Bryce Mitchell, I actually thought that Andre Feely had put on a better fight than Edson Barbosa did against Bryce Mitchell. Feely made Bryce really work for that fight. Bill, I think, is just going to be a step behind in the stand-up, and hopefully we can see the old version of Feely still here and get him back in the winning column. Feely by decision. Okay, for the co-main event, we have Chidi Njokuani versus Gregory Rodriguez. What do you think about this matchup? I mean, this is a pretty cool matchup, right?
Yeah, it should be fight of the night, unless the main event is. But yeah, this fight should be really fun.
Yeah, in this one, I'm gonna lean, and I'm gonna say Chidi Njokuani gets the upset here. Gregory Rodriguez, man, I really like both these guys a lot. Gregory Rodriguez has like world-class jiu-jitsu, really powerful striking, a decent gas tank considering how hard this dude punches. I mean, most guys that punch extremely hard get tired super fast. If you're looking at his loss against Armin Petrosian, he actually got Armin so badly hurt in the first round, and then the second round it got way closer because he started to come back on because he started to slow down. What really concerns me about Rodriguez in this fight is that he never uses his jiu-jitsu to win fights. He only strikes with people, and Chidi is a very, very good Muay Thai fighter. He uses his length extremely well, got a good jab, really good teep kicks to the body, and he's got a lot of length. He's got an 80-inch reach, and he throws straight punches. Gregory throws hooks, a lot more winding punches, but still pretty sharp and fast. And I think that he could, Njokuani can pace this fight better than Rodriguez can. And I do think we're going to see Chidi find a knockout at the end of round 1. Chidi has some losses to his ground game actually in his past, but I think it's improving. If you watch his Contender Series fight, he showed a really good ground game. And if Gregory tries to implement that ground game, he may slow down a lot. But Chidi should be at length here, and I think he's just going to touch him. Rodriguez has been knocked out by Jordan Williams, who really had a tough go in the UFC. He also has gotten stunned by some other fighters. He's got like a little bit of a smaller head. Chidi, I'm gonna say, is gonna get a right hand right down the middle. It's gonna put down Rodriguez. But this is a fight I'm really looking forward to. It's gonna be very similar to I think Gillian Marquez one. It's just gonna be somebody trying to come across the middle, and Rodriguez trying to throw a bunch of big punches. But I think he's gonna face a much better striker. Marquez wasn't really built for that type of slugfest that they did.
Yeah, I hope Mike Beltran is reffing this fight like he did the Rodriguez Marquez one, where he let someone die before he called off the fight.
Yeah, that fight was pretty crazy. Marquez had some decent punches, but for the most part, Rodriguez just eliminated him. But yeah, I'm gonna say the experience of Joe Kawani in these wars, also his knees in the clinch, could even take Rodriguez out as well. Just keep slowing him down. Also elbows, and the way he dropped Dusko in their last fight was really good. Yeah, after facing some grappling. Yeah, I'm gonna say Njokuani KO round 1 here. Okay, for the next fight we have Cory Sandhagen versus Yadong Son or Son Yadong. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, this should be a really good fight. Song Yadong's really young. He's still only 24 years old, and he actually has quite a bit of experience in the UFC.
A lot,
for only being 24. Yeah, his first fight in the UFC was 2017. But I do like Cory Sandhagen in this one. I think he'll be able to keep it at range, and I think he'll either win 4th or 5th round knockout or decision.
Yeah, I agree. Son Yadong, I think the way that he has to win this fight is just with grappling. Because even with the TJ Dillashaw fight, I mean, everyone thought TJ Dillashaw was a really great striker, and TJ Dillashaw had to literally hug him on the fence the whole fight and get like 2 out of 20 takedowns or something. And that there's still controversy off that fight, and if you'd hear it in my voice, I didn't like the result. So I think Sandhagen will clearly outstrike him at range. He's got a little bit of a reach advantage, and even with Petr Yan, he was the first person to kind of I wouldn't say maybe the first person can test Petr Yan a little bit on the feet. He took maybe 1 or 2 rounds from him. I think Sandhagen picked him apart for 2 rounds. Yeah, and then Petr Yan really started to understand his striking and came back on Cory. But everyone had a lot of respect for his performance there. Both these guys have knocked out Marlon Moraes, but Marlon Moraes is like, he's retired now and had a really bad run to end his UFC career. I do like the way Son Yadong strings together punches, but the thing is with Cory, it's going to be really hard to string together like 3 or 4 punches because Cory's in and out of range. The one thing that's concerning about this fight is it is in the UFC Apex, which will limit Cory's footwork here, and it'll give Son Yadong a chance to put the pressure on him. Also, he's got a win over Marlon Vera. That's a good fight to rewatch, by the way. Both those dudes hit hard as hell, but part of that fight, I think the trouble that Marlon had for that fight is he's always such a slow starter, and in a three round fight, he struggled to maintain that first round for the judges' scorecards, and that ended up screwing him over in the end. But Son Yadong, very good up-and-coming fighter. His loss against Kyler Phillips is also a great example of someone like Cory Sandhagen, who he's fought, I'd say Kyler Phillips is a little bit better grappling than Cory Sandhagen, but similar striking style, and I think you're going to see that same type of thing implemented here. Also a split decision with Casey Kenny. But yeah, I got Cory by decision. I could also see that late round knockout as well. Anything else from you on this one?
No, I just like Sandhagen's ability at range, teep kicks, and in and out of range. And I think he'll get the job done here.
Agree. Sandhagen by decision. Okay, guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, if any bets you guys want to post, and subscribe as well, man. We're growing, trying to get to 1,000 subs. Help us get there. If you want to get them bets early, we will have that bets video out on Thursday, as well with an NFL picks video on Wednesday. So we'll put those bets on Instagram, and you can get those early for the next UFC events. I've already got one out there, like I said, for Javid Basharat. And anything else from you?
Like, subscribe, check out the Instagram, and peace.
Peace.